Welcome to The Art of Winning. My name is Ashton Laverick, and I've spent the last 21 years working with our nation's most elite athletes, leaders, and warriors. Men and women that live and sometimes even die by the phrase, failure is not an option. As a retired special operations pararescue jumper, a sniper, and combat diver with over 10 combat deployments, as well as a rugby player, a lifelong student of human performance, and an entrepreneur, I have made it my obsession to explore what it truly takes to excel at life. So each week, we will bring you an inspiring person or message to help you win. From the boardroom to the battlefield, from building wealth to living fulfilled, from mastering the mind to human performance, we'll explore the mental disciplines, physical practices, and financial tools employed by the true winners of our time, as well as have fun exploring success and what it takes to win in this thing called life. Thank you for joining me today. Now let's start the show. What's up, guys? Welcome back to The Art of Winning. Now, I'm not sure if this happens to all veterans, but when I was leaving the military, I had a real wake-up call. I was in the MMA gym. I think I was coming in for some rehab. We had some great coaches there, but it was right next to the physical therapy area. So as I was passing by, I saw a buddy that he was kickboxing, doing some MMA at the time. A good friend of mine. We came up through the pipeline together, becoming pararescue jumpers. And then going up to the unit later. He went the year ahead of me, and so I always looked up to him because he was always like one class ahead of me. Good dude, really strong, awesome father, awesome husband, amazing operator, and just a really good friend, really good mentor. And but as I was walking through, I stopped to talk to him because we both, did MMA. He was more into the jiu-jitsu side, I think. But I was telling him, I was like, hey, look, man, we're talking about what I was doing. I had like a year and a half left in the military. And I was telling him how I planned on buying, rentals, how I bought our first rental, a fourplex in Durham, North Carolina, and how it was, we were able to refinance it, pull all our cash out, and it was putting money in our pocket every month, right? And I told him how I planned on, buying many, many more, right? So, and eventually how we planned on buying apartment complexes. I basically that was at the beginning of our business, and I was laying out our business plan. And at the beginning, it was all, in its infant stages. It's much more developed and complex now, but that was it. We were just planning on replacing our W-2 income with rental income. I was talking about how we were going to, never need a job because we did that. Initially, the real goal I was telling him was like, just so I could retire my wife, because his wife was a teacher, just like my wife. And I was telling him how I just wanted to retire my wife, which in North Carolina, that's only $25,000 a year. So that's not too much, and that's not too hard to replace, right? But the whole goal was, in the beginning, was just to retire her so she could be a stay-at-home mom with the kids, because she really never had any time. I mean, she was driving 30 to 45 minutes one way to the school. Plus, when she got home, she had to grade papers and, and she was at school from like 8 in the morning to, I don't know, 4 in the afternoon. And then, plus that 30 to 45 minute drive, and then grading papers and, lesson plan and all that stuff. So she never really had time for the kids, and it was always very limited. It was tough, especially with me deploying all the time and gone on training trips. But so that was the goal, right? And I was telling him that because he was very much in the same boat. But then he said something that really stuck with me, right? He said, well, don't come crawling back when you go bankrupt. And at first I was kind of like, okay, that was an odd thing to say. And I walked off to go get my physical therapy done, right? Because I used to play a lot of rugby back then, so I was always hurt. But at first I was kind of like, that's a weird thing to say. And then as I'm sitting there and the physical therapist is working on my leg, I started to get pissed off. I'm like, what the hell? Like, how the hell could he say something like that? We've done way riskier stuff than buy a rental, right? I mean, we've been to combat. Well, both of us been to combat multiple times, right? We've gotten shot at, shot back, jumped out of planes, been scuba diving at night in the dark, right? We've climbed mountains, been rock climbing with and without protection. I mean, we've done all this stuff. Like what we've been in fights together, like in massive bar fights. Like what made this more risky, right? But then I thought maybe, well, maybe he just doesn't understand the process. Maybe he doesn't understand what I'm talking about. Um, and I thought about it like, well, I need to just go tell him. I need to tell him how the bank funds the property, right? The tenants pay for the expenses of ownership. We live off the difference, and then we get to use the depreciation of the asset against our taxes to decrease our taxes, right? So essentially, we're making tax-free wealth, generational tax-free wealth, right? Because I can pass those on to my kids. So I was like, I'll just have to go explain that to him. He'll get it. He'll understand it. But as the day progressed, it kind of hit me, right? His fear of what he believes, his fear is based off of what he believes is possible for him, not for me, right? And I was taking it personally. I was making it a personal thing, but it had nothing to do with me. It had to do with him. It had to do what he thought was possible for him based off of his experiences and his beliefs, what his family conditioned him to believe, what he saw in the environment. That everything he was telling me was based off of his fear, um, off of his beliefs of what was possible for him, not me. But I was being selfish and I was personalizing it. It had nothing to do with me, right? And then the quote by Socrates kind of comes to mind when I think about this. And I've always thought this was a really good quote. And Socrates said this, to set up the stage. Socrates was on trial for supposedly influencing the youth some way or shape or form that the politicians didn't agree with. And so they were going to banish him. They were going to exile him, or he was going to die. And so he was somebody that really lived by his principles, by his values. And he said, an unexamined life is not worth living. And that's quoted by Plato. I believe Plato wrote that Socrates said that. And I could be wrong, but if I am, reach out, let me know. Um, but I really like that quote. An unexamined life is not worth living. Because if we don't examine our beliefs and decide, hey, is this belief actually serving me? Is this belief true, right? Is it actually true to begin with? Or is it a limiting belief? Is it keeping me from living my full potential, of reaching my full potential, of leveling up in life, of becoming that husband, that father, of becoming that businessman, that man, right? In this life? Are there limiting beliefs? Are there beliefs that are keeping me from that, right? And that's what I take out of that quote. An unexamined life is not worth living. And I think he was saying that to himself, but he was also saying it to the other people in the room to, a call to action to them. And as you know, like Socrates he chose death over exile. But that's what he was telling them is like, hey, I mean, even that may have been a limiting belief that he needed to choose to call them out instead of killing himself, right? But that's not here nor that there. The point is, like, are there beliefs that are holding you back, right? Are there beliefs that you accepted from other people that are holding you back, right? That are holding you back from what is possible for you in this life? Because, I mean, if you look at it, like every human being is like an acorn. We have this potential to be this massive oak tree, right? But if we accept all the limiting beliefs around us from all the people that live different lives, that have different experiences, and I'm not saying don't listen to them. I'm just saying don't adopt their beliefs, right? We'll be stuck in their life, repeating their life, right? Over and over and over. And then we'll pass it on to our kids. And that's how we never grow as humans. That's how society doesn't grow. Although I'm not sure that's actually possible, but that is what slows it down is we accept the generation before us. We accept their beliefs. We accept our friends' beliefs, and we never step out of our box, and we never start living that life that is possible for us, that potential that is possible for us, right? I mean, because if I had listened to him, if I had taken his advice, yeah, man, I don't want to go bankrupt. Why risk it? I should just accept my retirement, apply for disability from the military, and then go get another job and work 9 to 5, right? And my wife can continue to work as a teacher, and we'll be just safe and sound, you know, dreading Mondays and counting down until Friday, right? Because that's what happens, right? That is what happens when we accept those beliefs, those limiting beliefs. I mean, imagine if Elon Musk or if Jeff Bezos or if Bill Gates, love them or hate them, doesn't matter, right? Or Donald Trump or all these people that have lived extraordinary lives, that have done amazing things, that have stepped out of what is considered the norm for them, right? From their parents, from their family, from uh, their friends, right? If they hadn't have done that, they would not have been where they are today, you know. So you got to ask yourself, you got to sit down and you got to ask yourself, like, what beliefs do not serve me? What are not allowing me to level up, right? And it could be beliefs as simple as it's hard to make money. That could be a belief, right? That can be a belief that is keeping you from even exploring other ways to make money. It could be hard for you to, a belief could be, it's very hard for me to find love, or I just don't understand kids today, or all politicians are corrupt, or I mean, there's so many, right? It could be losing fat is very hard, or being healthy, or my mom had eye problems, so I'm going to have eye problems. Like these are beliefs, right? That we hold on, and then they manifest in some way, shape, or form. Either physically manifest, like I'm talking about, you actually get the injury that you're talking about that your mother had, or you don't go after that job because you say your eyes aren't going to be good enough, right? Or you don't go talk to that girl across the bar that you have fallen in love with, right? Or you don't go after that job, or you don't get into investing to create more financial freedom for your life, right? Or you don't go talk to those people that could help you do this stuff, right? My mom used to say, your friends and your family are like, it's a lot like a bucket with a bunch of crabs in it. We used to live by the ocean, so we go down and we'd go pick mussels and stuff like that for dinner. But there was always guys out there picking crabs, and she showed me the crabs in the bucket. As soon as one starts to crawl out of the bucket, the other crabs pull them back down. That's a powerful, image that stuck with me, right? You can't let other people's beliefs about themselves, about their life, drag you down and keep you in that bucket, right? In that bucket, that is what we'll call that normal. We'll call that the safe zone, or the zone of that. That's not where we grow, right? That's that we stay in that safe zone and we never grow because we are always looking around at us and seeing all the friends and family that aren't moving out, that aren't taking action, that aren't changing their life. And we're like, this is normal. And we stay there, right? Every now and then somebody breaks out, but do you want to be there for the rest of your life and pass that on to your kids, right? No, absolutely, absolutely not. Because, and when it comes down to it, like if we had listened to him, if I had listened to my friend that day and said, yeah, that is too risky, you know, that is way riskier than anything I've ever done. Jumping out of planes, getting shot at, getting blown up. That's way riskier. If I had said, yeah, he's right, I shouldn't risk it. I don't want to go bankrupt. My wife and I would likely still be changed that 9 to 5. I might have retired from the military, but I would have had to get another job because there was no way the military retirement, even if I got full disability, um, would pay for a family of four, right? A family of four with a house, 2 cars, the American dream, right? Which don't get me started on that, but we would still be chained to that life, dreading Mondays and counting down till Friday. So if you find yourself in that area, like if you find yourself stuck in that box, in that bucket, look at the people around you and then look at your beliefs. What beliefs are holding you back? What beliefs are not true, right? Because if you want to level up, then you need to get around people that are talking about and taking action towards that next level. And in doing so, it'll help you shed these beliefs of limitation, these beliefs of small mindedness, these beliefs of what is actually possible for you. Imagine if you hung around the Elon Musk and Bill Gates and the highly successful people for a day. Imagine how they would shatter your idea of what is possible. Just think about it. Anyway, we're building a community for people that want to get around people that are taking action, that are building businesses, that are creating financial freedom, that don't rely on the government, right? They don't have to ask the government for money. They don't have to, they're not the victims of the society. So reach out if you want to learn more about it. And if this podcast has added anything, any value to you, please like and share with friends and family that might benefit from it as well. And I look forward to talking on the next one. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend.